Here is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of April 14th through the 17th. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from April 7th through the 11th, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is NEO. We ended the week at $3.52, up 7.32%. This is where we are. To the north side takes us to one level of resistance and a potential take profit area at roughly 361. Above that, 369, and another level of resistance and another potential take profit area, 377. To the south side takes us back down to roughly 346. -2 standard deviations and another level of support and a potential buy-in area and a potential stop loss area as well. 331. Same for this, 323, and at -4 standard deviations, which I do not think that we will hit. But if we do and we happen to wick down all this way, I will anticipate a bounce as people buy the dip. Now, looking left, you can see the clear buy-in right along this line. Sometimes it hits it and sometimes it doesn't. It's close enough, as in this case right there. Support, a bounce, support, a bounce. Ripping up through, this turns into resistance. We busted through that, didn't quite make it up there, and then went sideways and back down to support. When we head down, that is support. This is resistance and a clear sell signal. Don't expect or anticipate price to get to 3-4 standard deviations, especially if you're down here. To get up there is not always in the cards. It depends on what ticker it is as well. And NEO has been whipped around all over the place thanks to tariff trades. But look at this. We bounced back already at 7.32% to the upside, ending the week. Now let's look at the gaps and opportunities that have opened up because we gapped down. When we fill, this will fill to the north side. I have no idea where it's going to fill. I just extend it, and because I'm tracking from here to here, we'll just pull it back here. And that will take us down to roughly 357, and it will touch on probably Monday. We could probably, yeah, I think we could close this out on Tuesday or wick us. We could see a wick that will take us out. I was just looking at the downside, and this is the new middle of the trend. Last week was here, so we've kind of nudged our way up. All right, what is going on with this gap? We've got another gap right here, a gap within a gap. Let's mark out. Well, that one I did mark out at 374. While I'm here, I'm just going to do that, or 375. Let's make it precise. And then this one is 379. So if we continue our upward trend, which is what you can see that we are in, it will close out this week. And then we have what happened here. This gap closed, and this gap remains open to the upside, taking us out at 422. But it starts at roughly 393. Look at this. We fell from grace, got slammed. And we have many other gaps to go to the upside, not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. Again, all I'm doing is from tracking from here to here. This is not important to me because I don't go and try to go, I mean, if you're dollar cost averaging down here, hopefully it'll close out up there. But if you're up here, you can bet there's going to be a south side. And congrats if you went short. Now we're just going to reverse course, but who knows how long it's going to take to do that. All right, and then we've got another one up here. Good lordy. All right, well, I'm not going to bother with that anymore because I am just tracking one day at a time. Next up, let's blaze through this. Estee Lauder. We ended the week at 55.23, up 3.62%. We are right here above the middle of the trend. One level of resistance, many between -2 and 2 standard deviations. 57.18, 58.81, and do not hold your breath for price to get to this level on Monday, another day perhaps later in the week, $60.43. Now at the middle of the week, we could close out at 60.28. And then conversely, if we continue to go up, we could close at 50.62 to the south side. And then if we hit this area down here, we could bounce off of this line, which then turns into support. But first, this line needs to be marked out for myself. 54.03 is the middle of the trend. We can go sideways or slowly grind up. If we hit here, this is support, and I'll anticipate a bounce off of that, just like this line right here. We touched it and then went sideways and fell through, and then fell through again, and then kind of touched through this line a couple of times. All right, 50.77, 49.25, and don't hold your breath, 47.52, another potential stop loss area. All right, that will take us down to, or up, I should say. Oh, wait a minute. So we gapped down. We touched it already, and that is 55. Oh, let me just mark this. This touched at 55.05, and now we're at 55.23. So very nice. And this one already started at roughly 55.23, closes out at 58.12. What else? Oh, and we've got this gap to also deal with, but not in the channel, not in the zone, but maybe in 2 weeks. And then we have this one, and that's all I'm going to mark out as of right now. Unilever. Okay, I'm in this trade as I am in Neo and many others. All right, reset there. I think I did option R. All right, 61.91 is where we ended, up 3.34%. There was some news. Where did it go? You have to click on. It's gone, but anyway, there was some news about it, which I didn't, to me, it was inconsequential, but it made the market run. Okay, so we went up, so that means we are going to fill it to the downside, and that, if you like to go short, the potential takes us to $60 to the south side. And oh, before I get all to that, let's do your price targets. All right, resistance, potential take profit area, 62.88. Reversing back to an area we've been with a gap fill, 63.53, and roughly 64.15. Don't hold your breath for this for Monday, but perhaps another day since we are going up. The middle of the trend is now roughly 61.59-ish. Actually, let's move that right there, 63-ish. And the yellow lines are from 2024. The purple lines are from 2025. This could be support. We could bounce off that or just grind sideways or just go follow this trend up. And this gap takes us to 60.81. -2 is 60.36. This thing closes out at 60. 59.69, and another potential stop loss area, retracing to an area we've been to in the past at 59.09. The reason I'm going to watch this one carefully because the 1-year price target is 63.68, and that is up here. So 63.68 is right here. You know what I'm going to do just for giggles? I'm going to mark this out. Well, let's Command Z. You can't. Here, and I'm going to turn this, let's turn this, this color. Now that's too orangey, too close to the red. Let's do, no, I still don't like that. Okay, let's do that one. 63.68. 63.68. That takes us up here. Oops. 63.68. All right. So the price is up here. We could, make our way up here and then wick up. So I have to decide, do I want to hop off the gravy train and take my gains the next target after that is 74. But I think once we hit it, typically you can see a retracement for it to try to grind its way up to a new leg. So, and then that leg down is $60. So you know what? I think I will set a stop, a sell order, a limit tonight. Yeah, I want to get out. I bought in at 55, this area. And yeah, and I think I bought in here before too. And maybe down there. I don't know. I have to go through and look at my account again, but I know I'm up big time with this ticker. Or big time meaning in the 20%, which is great for me. I'll take it all day long. I'll take 2% for a quick day trade all day long. All right, we've got gaps to be aware of to the south side when we retrace. When we retrace. Let me say that again. All right. Okay, and touched right here and a bounce. Off we went. And that touched this gap. Oh, look at what happened here. This one touched right there. So this has completed its cycle. Oh, that took us up to 59.92, and that is resistance. Busted through just a little bit. Of course, it fell back down. So that is done. And then what's happening here? This gap to the upside touched right there. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Touched right there roughly on Friday the 11th. So congrats if you went long and it worked. Okay, and then we have this gap. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. No, we touched. Okay, we touched on that wick. That touched on April 3rd. And, okay, I have to show you this on the daily. Option R. As you can see, ignore everything. I've tracked this thing so many times. Come on, I gotta grab it at a certain spot. So we're at 61.91 right here. We are at the middle of the trend on the daily. In the big picture, the potential is to get to roughly 69.72 and even higher. So what did the analyst say? I don't need to be an analyst, and I can make my own projections. And so can you. 74.24. All right, but to the south side, okay, if that's the green, the red line is roughly right there. And that takes us to roughly 54-ish. You got to retrace anytime you hit a high or hit a target. There's just no doubt about that. Just like Palantir, beaten up, dusts itself off, and goes back up again. But it has to happen on every ticker. All right, Unilever, where? Oh, see, I got wonky because I switched the time frames, and that's what happens. All right, that is it. Sofi, okay, very quickly. We ended the week at 1071, up 1.81%. 1163, back to an area we've been, 1208, and don't hold your breath for Monday, 1254, but yeah, no, there's no way. There has to be a miracle for that to happen. I mean, miracles do happen, but I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath. But, you know, eventually we'll get back up there again. All right, we're at 1071, an area where I've purchased this before. Unfortunately, I should have just sold out, bought back in, ride it up, ride it down. Okay, that's the middle of the trend now, so let me turn that purple. That lines up with where I previously bought, 979, 935, 888. Now we've got this gap that takes us to 1230. That's our next target. We could definitely close out by the middle of the week, Wednesday, if we continue to go up. But, you know, the markets giveth and it taketh. And you can't expect it just to continue to go straight up like this. There will be choppiness. Okay, that will take us to 1340. What about to the south side? Okay. So to the south side, if I got distracted here. 981, if I didn't already, 934, and roughly 889. Yeah, I did. Okay. A bounce here, off of support. Note the bounce off this line exactly. I see that happening all the time. Exactly. Resistance, sell-off to ride back up again. Okay, that is an opportunity to the upside, and that will take us to, I got to get my magnet off, 1131. Okay. All right, next one. Tsly, my goodness. Whipped around all over the place with this one. I'm so disgusted by people who are torching Teslas. Shame on you. Disgusting. Stop giving in to your emotions that way. Grow up. All right. To the north side, 875. I hope all those people get prosecuted. 899 and 921. Middle of the trend is now here. 828. So where was last week? Last week was here, and now we are here. So we are inching our way up. Now to the south side, 781, 757, 733-ish. All right, to the south side, 760. Support, bounce, resistance, sell-off. This will take us to 843. And that did not touch, so this is still in play. Didn't mark it out. I was so extremely busy last week, and this week I'm going to be busy again. I'm going to be dog sitting. No, at the end of the week, yeah. But still, I've got a gazillion things I got to do. 883 and 930 to the upside here. Okay, and that one opened up on Thursday the 6th-ish. All right, still in play. Next up, Boeing 156.84, option R, reset. All right, again, all I'm looking at is from here to here for a swing trade, but telling you and calling out prices one day at a time within this frame. But obviously I don't go back to it, but I should one day. Just do it every day. 158.66, 166.92, retracing, 171.08, and 175.31 to the south side. 150.34, 145.96, don't hold your breath, 141.80, 80 what? 87. This gap closed. It was a one-day gap. Was that Tuesday to Tuesday? Yep. That took us down to 139.47 and hit an official support line. Okay, and then this gap that I've already tracked closed on Wednesday the 9th, so congrats to the upside, and then it ran more. 150.48, delete this, no longer in play. And we have this one, and that is in play for this week, and that will take us to 168.54. And at the end of the week, if we continue to go up conservatively, we could be at 175.73, and then these outer bands would take us higher. All right. Oh, we've got this gap also. Okay. Look, we just retraced down to roll back up again. Well, here and then grinding our way up potentially. All righty. Next one. Rivn. 1147. 1183. 1209. Don't hold your breath. 1239 to the south side. 1128. Gosh, it's all these lines I've covered everywhere I've been. The red line is right here, retracing to an area we've been, 1073, 1045, and roughly 1016. Okay, clear area of support, resistance, sell off, sell off. Okay, what happened here? Oh, I extended it big time, you know, to the end of the week, but it actually hit out of the gate on Monday. Let me make sure I have that. Yep, right there on Monday, April the 7th. So congrats if you went and did a long call, 1150. To the south side, this was a one-day trade, Tuesday to Tuesday. Congrats. That took us down to 1121. Why is this off? I don't know. Okay. Delete, delete, right? If it doesn't make sense, get rid of it. All these lines make sense, so I don't get rid of it unless they are too crammed together. And for me, it's not too crammed together since I know what they all mean. There's a purpose. I want to see retracement. And then that's a visual cue for me. Then, when I mark these things out, I know I've talked about it. I've anticipated the moves. Okay, and this one's going to hit. And that will take us to okay, that will take us to 1326, 1353. Not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. And there you go. Next is Nike. Option R to reset that. Okay, 5439 to the north side, 5709, 5870, 6042 to this, to the south side. I got so excited. 5378 will be another level of support, as well as 5048, 4871-ish, and 4711-ish. Note the bounce. There was a bounce up to resistance, and then clearly wipeout. So what happened looking left? This gap is still in play, taking us to $65, but we are slowly heading down on the 5. This gap on Tuesday, April 8th, opened and closed on Tuesday. Then we had this gap, we gapped down, so we closed it very short. We closed that one. And this one will take us to 71.48 rather. And the last week, the middle of the trend was, I don't know, now it looks like, why is this short? I should have, if this were it, I think I marked this out for myself. Let me just delete that line. I don't know where the middle of last week was. Oh, duh, it's right here. We were at, oh my goodness, 63.98, and now we're at 53.78, $10 basically. Wow. So, and we're still going down. Nike just whips you around, man. You go woke, you go broke. Okay? You gotta appeal, if you're running a multi-billion-dollar company, you gotta appeal to the masses. You don't do that, you're gonna go out of business or lose your loyal followers that have followed you for decades. Okay, 4706, if I didn't say that. Let's go to Intel, the last one. Yay. Okay, I took a trade here, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I'm also in this trade for my mom since I invest for her. All right, 1974, not 72. There. Okay, this is hard to see, but here we go. Red line. I've marked this out so that I know exactly what to look for color-wise. I do red, white, and blue. Then I'm done. Because sometimes these lines are so thin. You used to be able to make them thick way back in the day with TradingView, and they blew that away, and they need to bring that back. And they got rid of it for this. Okay, 2108, 21 1286 and 2266. The middle of the trend takes us to 1949. Last week we were here, and now we're here. So we're still inching down, even though it looks like we're going up. Okay. It's like contradicting moves here. Okay, red, that's the middle of the trend is green. Red is here, so I look for that, 1793. White, 1713, don't hold your breath, 1635. All right. Okay, this gap to the downside, close right out of the gate. Oh my gosh, you gotta really go back, huh? Monday, February the 10th, I've talked about that, or no, I just drew it out. No, this is my gap and go video, so I believe I talked about it. So that touched on April the 4th. No longer a landmine to the south side, no longer a threat. That is done. Okay, but then look at this. We went up, wicked up, slammed back down, you know, kind of been lining up with this middle of the trend line, back up, and look, we hit precisely with this line, and then precisely down here for a run up. And darn it, so I bought here, we fell down more, it was scary, and then I was working on my HOA meeting that I had to attend, where I had to correct some issues with my HOA and the board. And I was busy and I did not pay attention. My friend calls me at 1:30 in the afternoon and says, "Oh, did you see the market ran?" I'm like, "No, I didn't." I was like, and I never set a sell order. So it's important to set those orders if you want to get out and not get trapped. Okay, so then what happened? Fell back down, went up, basically grinding sideways, slammed back down again. Look at that. 2 opportunities here. And now we're making our way back up. So I think conservatively, I should just get out of here. And this gap is still in play, taking us to 2142. If I go 1 penny up, sometimes I've lost it by doing 1 penny up. And sometimes it goes way above it and then slams back down. You just don't know. And I don't have time Monday to sit here and watch this. Okay. And this gap will take us to 1985. Okay. Oh, this needs to be cleaned up. I don't like this. Now, this was such a tiny gap, I shouldn't even bother to mark it out, but I did, and that took us to 2197. And we have gaps within gaps. This gap ultimately to 2907, but we've got some other ones to also close out. What is this actually touched? Oh yeah, right there. Okay, that one took us down to 2073. All right, I'm done with these. Okay, that is it for your gap and go trades for the week of April 14th through the 17th. If there is a ticker that you would like me to go over, please let me know, and have a great and profitable trading week. Oh, one last thing, I see this. That actually needs to be extended even. Oops, I grabbed the wrong thing. Yeah, well, I meant to grab this middle line right here. Okay, there we go. Now that looks better. Okay, that does it for me. Till the next time.